Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas and we interview wonderful people. And since the major concern today, everybody's wondering about ascension, everybody's wondering about the transition, however you want to look at it. And my guest has a perspective that is rather unique, and I will bring him on. He will tell you about his background, and he's very impressive with what he's trying to do on a global scale. And without further ado, let me introduce you to the Ascended Master, Rick Jewers. Hi, Rick.
Hi, Gail and everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be here. And before I begin, this signal, this hand sign here means unity and togetherness. And so I wish to make that clear because some thinks it's Masonic or what have you. But in this great time, we are taking back everything for the light, including hand signals and what have you. So having said
Oh,
this,
wow.
yeah. They use that, but also, the Christ used this as well, togetherness, and then they distorted what it meant. And
Yes, because I thought it was a bad thing after a while, because a lot of the like ministers, pastors, like they do that too. And then I go, wait a minute, is that a satanic symbol, or is that what is it?
exactly,
You know?
yeah.
So
But in at least some North American or Canadian indigenous groups, they recognize this as together unity, at least, and it may be more around the planet as well. But the good things is it means unity and togetherness for us. And actually, I'm in a teepee here tonight, which is great. I'll turn it up, but uh, nevertheless, it won't turn up. So, uh, yeah, getting right to the point, what I claim, what is real. I am an ascended master, and uh, to give let's say, a full biography, it could be perhaps several books, but to keep it simple, I speak directly to Prime Creator, and the mission upon the planet is to ascend humanity. So there's an ascension on an individual basis where everyone is prepared, and then there is the ascension of the planet that they're all prepared for. And we are in this most glorious time. What's occurring?
it really, it really is the best of times and sometimes the worst of times. But we want to focus on the best of times, right?
Exactly. Yeah. While everything looks to some that are in still levels of fear, it looks like doom and gloom, but that's the destruction of the old. And we have begun to create the new reality. It's already here. And those that are ready are trickling into it, what we're doing. So we have the new reality is manifest right here, right now. And the avenue to it is a simple logging in and registering their consent to join the majority of the people worldwide and create the new world. But it's already underway.
That's awesome, and that's that GPMS that we will be referring to as well. But I have a question for you about your ascended master status. I'm wondering, do you have aspects or fractals from any of the well known ascended masters, or are you? Do you know what I mean?
Let me
Like
say the way
Morey,
that
and how does that work?
Mhm. It's many attributes, and to go right to the full reality, all of us are connected to all of the ascended masters. For when we're back out of this dimension, one say we are all one. And what this essentially means is that yes, we are all connected to those. For I am connected straight to what was known as the Christ, as Jesus, if you will, but not only that, and not limited to it. And having said that, so many others are directly connected to that energetic essence as well. So in these great times, it's important for ones, to know that we are all part of the spark of God, the human souls, and because of that, we are able to connect and be uh, with and like the ascended masters. To keep it simple.
Okay, that's awesome. I just know that people wonder about these things a lot. Now, you mentioned in one of your other videos about there will be 6 billion people ascending. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's
'Cause-
the numbers around 6 billion out
Mhm,
of
mhm.
approximately a population of 8 billion upon the planet. But the other 2 billion that are not going forward, it is the dark. It is the remnants of the darkness. There are soulless minions upon the planet. There are the evil ones that will not be going forward. And of course, there are organic constructs, what I wish to call that, let's say, were growing in labs and in vitro, cloned, and all of these other various forms, and they cannot go forward, for it's not the ability is not within their physical vessel, because they do not have a soul, a spark of light to transition the vessel to the higher vibrations where we are going. So they do not have that ability, and as well, they are part of the darkness, so they stay behind. We are in the age of Aquarius, and this had begun a couple years ago. And what this means is the new paradigm, unprecedented reality for the human experience in the least. And we're going into a harmonious, uh, new, blissful, and abundant world. And in that new world, none of the evil or the lower density acts and reactions out of fear and negativity does not exist. So it cannot be part of that. If it was to be part of a new reality, you just loop back and have the same what you have now. So it's assured that that's all dropped as we transition very quickly into the new reality. And this is why it's so important on the individual basis during this ascension that all of the inner work is done. And with that inner work, that is changing how you are and what you are, how you act and how you react. And there are many great tests that come with that, but everything is assured that everyone is prepared, that they, for example, no longer get mad, angry at anyone. Um, they don't get pissed off, if you will, and there is no worry, there is no insecurity, because this is the full deliverance and liberation and the blissful, harmonious world. So everyone is being prepared for that, and each individual preparation is unique, more or less, to the individual. However, there are groups that have the similar experiences and themes with that. But to keep it simple, yeah, there's about 6 billion human souls upon the planet that go forward. The rest do not.
Okay, now of those souls, I have been told on other shows and so on and so forth, and I would just like to hear what you have to say about that. Is that as we transition into the fourth dimension, and I think you mentioned that we were already there. There are people that talk about, people have to go to class because if they have, as their DNA is activated or what have you, they will have abilities that they won't know how to manage properly or something like that, so that they really need to go to class to find out more about, I guess it would be like how to act. I don't know. What do you have to say about that?
Well, all of the answers and solutions and remedies and assistance, there's a wide array of it out there. So if it involves someone going to a class to learn more about themselves and their journey, that's perfectly fine. And then
Mhm.
on the other side of that, you'll have one that says, no, I don't need to do that. Everything is done with myself with it, and reaching out to others sometimes. So, what I wish to say is that uh, you don't necessarily, though, go to a class to learn about what is occurring, uh, for the simple reason that your tests and your lessons come through the experience. If you're to go and just read it, that is like a superficial introduction to it. And sure, it may give you guidance, which it does, but you need the experience to actually know what is occurring and to have the full ability to advance yourself. But this is not to say that someone may go and take a course, and as a result of taking that course, then it has divinely timed to activate the attributed experience to that. So then they have the test through the experience to evolve higher as well. So
What do you mean, like a test? Can you give me an example of a test, for example,
okay,
possibly?
well, okay.
What do you
So
mean?
let's say
We're going to
let's
keep it
take
simple.
yeah, yeah, okay. Well, let's just take absolute fear. Let's say if someone is afraid of cats, if you will. So, what will occur? Uh, they'll be subjugated to an experience with cats popping up everywhere. So, with any phobia, they will be confronted and subjugated with multiple tests until they master and overcome the fear that is associated with it. So at the soul
I
level, that
see.
no one can run from it. They can keep looping and be stagnant every time they don't pass the test. However, sooner or later, they do pass it. So after they keep being confronted by the test over and over, the consciousness will say there's something at least paranormal with this if they're not awakened. Then they
Mm.
will consciously look at what is occurring, and then they'll say, well, perhaps I should do something different. So, as an example, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, it did. It made perfect sense. Um, well, but that brings on my next question. Do
Mhm.
we have to wait until everybody gets it, so to speak?
No, and this is the beauty of it, Gail. It's a misconception to think that we have to wait till everyone gets it. And it's important not to think that way, but to think that we are getting it and keep the focus that way, because then that builds the knowledge, if you will, and it builds the shift. So when we have everyone aligned um, with knowing this and have the focus towards the new and not thinking that it takes everyone, well, it gets built quicker. And if you look at one of the old perhaps analogies of one enlightened one affecting a million. Well, when you do the math on that, that would suggest, I believe, around 8,000 enlightened ones affect the entire population and transition it forward. So, with that, you can see the numbers are very small. So the important thing is for each individual, keep positive, keep empowering yourself, and keep your focus on creating the new. And having said that, yeah, you don't need very many. Now, with this, I
That's
wish to
beautiful.
share. I wish to share another quick example of this with GPMS in Thailand. We have approximately at this time 18,000 souls are registered. But what occurred a few months ago, about maybe 2 months ago, when they had reached 14,000 souls registered with GPMS, they had experienced a paradigm shift within Thailand. because they had
Wow.
created an interconnected network and sharing the higher knowledge. So anyone that was open enough to register with GPMS, then they became part of that community where you have the higher consciousness is giving the information for the new world. And of course, all of the holistic remedies, organic foods, some even the free energy technology is in there as well, with at least one within Thailand. He has been building the free energy small boxes being prepared. So what you're seeing is a culture, not a culture shock. You're seeing a paradigm shift. But what's even more amazing, when you look at these numbers of 14,000, and I believe in Thailand, the population is around 70 million. Uh, when you look at the percentage, that percentage that would cause the paradigm shift in Thailand was decimal 0.002%.
That's encouraging.
That is amazing. Yeah. So, and
Wow.
then if you take that number and you compare it to the population worldwide, it gives you a number of perhaps around a million. So when we look at that, when we have a million, let's say, consented with GPMS, it is going to create a worldwide shift, a paradigm shift. But it also can set off, even at any point, a virality to very quickly get this. And, and I have a Telegram channel as well. And a lady in there put a message today. She said, Rick, if each one that is in GPMS now, we have a 25,700, I believe, consented. She said, Rick, if every one of those that are there now gets one to sign, each one that is there gets one to register, in the next 31 days, we would have 7 billion registered. So in 31 days, but I need to show how quick this can occur by just gathering the consent, because this is a worldwide referendum of the people. This is universal worldwide. So when everyone comes together very quickly, the people are the majority. So nothing can stop this, and nothing can contest with it. And it's a free choice. It doesn't cost anyone any money whatsoever. It only costs a few minutes of their time to go on the website, get their consent logged. But also,
So,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, I don't think my listening audience probably, we don't have that many people listening at this moment right now, but there will as we put this out. And I don't think most people know what GPMS is. So I think we need to go there for a few minutes. What is it?
Okay, yeah. So then we'll go back. As I say, I am an ascended master connected straight to Prime Creator, and we are in the ascension time. So everything that's been occurring upon the planet is not random. It is a divine orchestration to advance humanity out of the present misery and savagery. So what
Yeah,
comes with this
that
is,
just makes me so happy.
yeah, this is the divine deliverance. This is what's been even alluded to and spoken of in, prophecy and written religious texts as well, but the clues have all been planted there for this time. So this is it. This is the deliverance that delivers humanity out of this misery and into the new reality. And it's being done, by collecting everyone's energetic signature or, energetic imprint with their consent. onto um, it's the same as voting. So once the majority vote worldwide, it is recorded and documented on the website. The majority rules, and everything what GPMS is what everyone ever prayed for. You know, they always wanted love, peace, harmony, abundance, and it's all inclusive for that. That's what GPMS is. And GPMS is, we use the word global, but then we use people's monetary system. And I need to emphasize that where we use the global, what the reason why we use that is because it's the opposite of the global elites. So you had the global elites, but now you've got the global people, which are much bigger, which is 90%, 99% of the population, if you will. So you can see how it's a no contest with the less than 1% against the 99%. So there is nothing the 1% can do. So it's game over. All it takes is getting the voice all collected in one place worldwide. So it's a new monetary system, and it's also the simplified divine law, which every law is based on your morals and ethics. Everyone knows within them what is right or wrong, to keep it simple. No one needs that written. And when you have everyone working in harmony, what GPMS creates, because you just eliminate all of the restrictions and stress of this mundane, savage world, you don't need extensive laws, if you will. You know, there's one basic law with divine and natural law: just do not physically harm another. You know, and that's simple. And what we wish to say, I wish to add, you know, when you go and visit your friend, when you walk in their house, there's not a list of laws written on the wall that you must abide by. You already know it. You're going to act respectful and courteous, and you're going to have that respect, but it's not written anywhere that you need to, but it is intrinsic. It's within you. It's the morals and ethics as being a good person. You know how to behave. You don't need it written or to be told it.
Exactly, exactly. It could be so simple, and that would be the right way for it to be. Um, there was. Would you mind if we talked about the reincarnation cycle a little bit? I believe that's been shut down. Is that true?
Yes. What
And
I've
what?
been given in 2015 was the last of it was shut down. So there is no, let's say, there is no trickery with reincarnation. But what is occurring is that souls are coming back now. Before, there was a false loop, if you will, around the planet. This is one perspective, that the darkness kept everyone not going back to, let's say, the heaven, if you will, to keep it
Mhm,
simple.
mhm, mhm,
They had
mhm.
them trapped within this dimension. What has occurred in
I think it was
2000?
a frequency barrier of some sort. Would you agree?
You could say whatever perspective you wish to describe it, but to
Oh,
keep it simple, in
okay.
2015, that has been eliminated. And in your children that you're seeing born today, what you're seeing are very advanced, and this is the reason why, because there are souls that are coming back here for a special purpose with the younger generation to sustain the new age. So these are, and let me say that with that, what I wish to say is that in the other dimensions, you know, there's many souls that wish to come back here to assist. So they're coming back within the children, and this has been ongoing as well since 2015. So what you're seeing with the little children, you know, born within the last few years, you will see how they look so wise. And when you look at the soul, if you will, in their eyes, many will say they're old souls, and indeed they are, because they're back here to carry some things forward too. And the beauty with this is, as they grow, they get their memory much more quicker, but some already have the memory with them. So it's an amazing thing to watch as well, and to witness, I need to say.
I wish I had some little children around here. I really do. Um, I love children, but mine are all grown up and don't have any little ones anywhere near me. But anyway, that's. I've heard so much about the children and the ones coming in being, having their DNA already intact for the most part and being crystalline in nature. And someone even said that you could grow a rose in their hand. So their abilities are amazing. I mean, it's not being put out there, and it won't be by MSM or anybody else, but we can bring it forward. Alternative media as much as possible, like we are with this right now. So basically, what you're saying is if people will go to the gpms.com, it is
No,
.com,
dot
right?
world.
Uh-oh.
GPMS dot world. This is a
Okay, I made a mistake then. Let me correct that.
yeah.
GPMS, you're right. Now I just remembered that. .world. So people don't go to gps.com. That was my bad. It's
There.
gpms.world. Okay.
Mhm.
And I wish I could erase that, but I don't know how to. So,
Oh, you just changed it, I think. Oh,
yeah.
you can delete that comment.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
delete, the one that's wrong. But it's not letting me. Um, I don't know why. Okay. All right. Well, it won't let me, so I can't take it off. So anyway, going forward, the reason that I brought up the reincarnation cycle, which is down anyway, so which is really good, is I always had questions about it because it didn't make any sense. You're supposed to learn these lessons, but every time you would die, you'd kind of have to come back and your memory's wiped. So the lessons that you learned before all of a sudden are just gone again. None of it made any sense to me. I mean, well, you're supposed to advance, and then there was some talk about the possibility that there's different levels of frequency that you might go into when you die, which is a little different, but it's still within a barrier fence that keeps us trapped or kept us trapped in this
Yeah,
reality.
it was. Yeah. And you have many perspectives of that. And again, to keep it simple, what we say, that is all over, that no souls are trapped and put back and fed the trickery that they had to endure the misery, because that is nonsense. And the loop has been broken, and we're all going forward. And again, that
Thank
is what
God.
EMS
Yeah.
dot world is. No one needs to suffer. If you look at it, anyone to suffer and die of starvation and to be in lack and poverty, that is the most savage, inhumane thing that one would experience. And it no longer serves. So it's being eradicated, and we're having the full abundance and freedom, as I mentioned, and full harmony and peace.
And what about karma that they talk about? That's another one that's going away or gone or whatever. What do you?
Okay, could you? I'd like to know your definition of karma. Are you being specific with a certain type, or in general?
I was just talking generally speaking because I'm not sure I ever bought into it completely. I mean, I know, like if you do something bad to somebody, it's going to come back to you in some other way, maybe even some other lifetime. Okay,
Not
kind of.
in the lifetimes. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to speak of this to it just for a little bit.
Okay,
If we look at it this way, then karma, yes, karma very quickly is instantaneous now, and there is no karma from any other lifetime. times. And one of the main reasons why is because consciously now, many of you are co-creating that there isn't. So what I wish to say is that there is no ancestral karma. That is ridiculous. That is a fair narrative to trap one into the misery. So just get rid of it. It doesn't apply. What is important is what you can call a wrath or a karma against yourself if you are doing bad things. Yes. And when you look at it this way, that karma is at least 10 times as more severe as it would have been in the past. And one of the reasons why people can no longer act and react that way to ones, but where it's amplified, uh, the uh, the effect back upon them very quickly. They learn the lesson. Stop doing that, and then they change as well. So uh, there is the karma in that sense. Once one becomes negative, you can you will just keep attracting multiple negative like things to you until you get the lesson and know stop it, and then just do all of the good virtuous things, the positive things, and then you see your reality change very quickly. So yes, there's what I call int karma. If you behave unvirtuous and uh, uh, aggressively towards another, you're going to get many fold the same thing back on you that you'll become inundated. And with the darkness, this is also why the darkness, the remnants are imploding so quick, because of their ill intent with what they do. It's no longer supported. So every time they do something that is ill intent, it is effecting their rapid destruction and implosion with it. And this is the beauty of it, that
Oh, wow.
only good intent goes forward. We're creating the good intent world upon the planet. The dominant ruling energy is the light. It has been since 2012. That was the time, if you will, the war was won. So now we're acting out the roles to quickly transition in the light world where the darkness cannot go. So these are a couple of divine mechanisms in place to guarantee the separation from the darkness. So the light's forward, the darkness remains behind.
I have a question from the dot connector. Do you foresee negative events going forward that are doom and gloom, like the deaths that they talk of from from this, the war, the food shortages, all the bringing on more suffering to the people? Do you see that
Okay,
going forward, or do you see that stopping?
so let me say, going forward, there is no great catastrophe worldwide or any great chaos. However, small negative events and things are necessary to get people to choose the new world. So when they're still, it's part of the awakening experience. And this is what I said like before, this has to implode. This is the old way right now. And what's being occurring on a divine level with ones that are still in there and supporting that, let's say they're not awakened, they're becoming pressured and pressured more and more with it, like the lack of food in the US, the inflation,
It's out
rent
of this world.
rising threefold. These are all divine mechanisms. So that ones make the choice to stand up and to join the light and
Join the fight,
make
yeah.
the right choices. So these will continue, but it's pro-rational in the sense that if, let's say, this is the old imploding, at every moment someone is making another choice from the old, looking for the new. As they become totally pressured and they surrender, and they take a moment and say there has to be something else. That's when they begin to see the new world being created. Then they transition, if you will, into that. So there is necessary little, I call them little negative things that need to occur, because it needs to allow people to see the insanity and the savagery of the old system, and how to see it's not right, so that they choose the new. So that is occurring. How long it needs to take depends. Also, there is a variable upon all of the awakened ones and the light workers upon the planet. Once they get all of their focus in alignment with creating the new world with GPMS, well, what this does, it expedites things very quickly. But what's occurring, we also have awakened ones that are still uh, going through their individual lessons, and some are in places of complacency where they were able to thrive and exist, by themselves in the old world, but they're also being rustled out of there, because we are in the time of the great unity, and every light worker is a part of this. So you have that in between here too, where you had ones that were in complacency, but that is also being hit, and you will have some very profound um, divine orchestration set up to rustle these complacent advanced light
People.
workers out of supporting the old, and in the material world and what have you. So
Okay, yeah, because we have a lot of so-called light workers. We have false light. We have people out there that are charging ridiculous amounts of money for people. It's like, if you're not rich, you can't ascend.
yeah,
Or
no,
if you're
no, no. Yeah, that's the false light. Yeah, and the false narrative. Yeah, yeah. When you look at the authenticity, and when one looks, at the heart of one, what you just mentioned is along the same lines as someone dying, let's say in Africa, and what we just put a video out, Denovan, about a week ago. I believe it was a young girl. She was sick, went to the hospital, and she could die, but the, they had no money. So the doctor, anyways, he persuaded the doctor to do the humanitarian thing and assist her so she didn't die. But the thing is that if they didn't have the money, they would not treat one. Like, how inhumane is
not.
that?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
uh,
that drives me
that's
crazy. I've seen that in the medical world so often, it just makes me want to puke. You go to the hospital, the first place they send you to is the administrative office where you sign up. Where do we get your money from? What insurance do you
yeah,
got? That kind
yeah,
of thing. Oh, you got that kind of insurance? Oh, you can only get this kind of care. That
yeah.
kind of thing. I
Like,
mean,
that
it's
is
just, yeah.
absolutely preposterous and primitive and savage and ridiculous, and no longer acceptable.
Savage is a great way of putting it. So, what do you think about all of these so-called health professionals that have been pushing this thing and not doing their homework? We have a lot of I don't know if it's selective ignorance or ignorance in general, or people aren't being told the truth about this, and unless they do their own research, they're being becoming victims of savagery beyond belief, that which is what the problem is. It's beyond belief. So people, just being a human with a human heart, you can't even believe that somebody would even do such a thing. But
Well,
boy, they are
absolutely.
doing it. And I don't know
Yeah.
what.
Well, what has transpired
How do we
in the
comfort
last two.
those who have?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What has transpired in the last 2 years is the greatest wake up call ever. And having said this, it's important for the ones awake not to put your focus on getting accountability or what have you, because then that keeps ones distracted from creating the new world. And with the new world, what occurs is these ones that, let's say, committed crimes against humanity, indirectly that's taken care of. That once you keep creating the new world, some of these will not be going to the new world, and it becomes senseless for ones to, in an old legal system, filing lawsuits and all of that,
All
because
that
that's what the
crap.
old
Yeah.
system wants, and it keeps you
Yeah.
distracted and it prevents you from creating the new. So let's say that will is being handled on a divine level. But what's important for the individual to know this, that it is divine justice, if you will, on a level that the individual doesn't really need to uh, keep the focus there. And of course, there are individuals, divine ones, that must, because there's roles to play in the dissolution, the dissolving of the old as well. So it's a wide range, but our focus is to get this new world created. Then that stops down here immediately.
So would it be beneficial, just out of curiosity, I could carry the information about the gpms.world in the description of all my videos with a little blurb about, please, go check, help us to create the new world or something. If you wanted to send me a couple of words that you'd like to be said, I will be more than happy to include that in all future videos in the description. So
No,
we can get
thank
the
you
word
so
out.
much, Gail. Yeah, I will. After I will write something up and send it to you. Something very short,
Just, yeah,
because
very,
the
very
span
simple. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everyone that's in, still in the rush and what have you, they like short things. And, but to simply, so what GPMS is a worldwide movement. It's a worldwide referendum by the people to effect the new world change instantly. And with it, everyone, even a child 1 second old, their vote counts in this referendum. Every child counts, every person, every soul upon the planet, yeah, their vote counts as one. And it's so important to have the children, their voice heard in this worldwide referendum. For when we look at it this way, this is the children's new world, and they have every say into it. And of course, they're going to choose it. And when you look at the numbers of under 18 worldwide, I believe it's around 2 billion children under the age of 18 worldwide that for the first time ever, they are getting a chance to vote, have their voice recognized and acknowledged, and to assist in changing this world. For they are part of the new world, and lawfully and rightfully, they have a say in it. They are here for the new world, and they are part of it. So it's beautiful to give this opportunity to the children as well.
Yes, and it's been a fight for parents for sure. In a way, like if you didn't want to have your kid get this or what have you, it's been a real challenge. That's for sure. But will those people be? I'm going to assume that they are, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Will they be? Because it will be things people want to know. Will people that have fallen victim of this, will they be healed?
Let me say what I'm given to my knowledge is that there were many placebos put out there as well. And when ones also raise out of the fear and make the choices to stand. Let's say if they're pressured by an employer to get a vaccine, to say
Mhm.
no. So it's important that they stand with that. And then what that does, it sets off a change within the individual. And I cannot speak for every individual, but what I can say is that we are, once we get the new world created here as well, which we are creating now, all of the remedies and new technology is also here once it's in the people's hands. And also, when you're in higher dimensional space, what is going to occur from the multiverse is interjections of even newer technologies to advance humanity forward. So the main thing is for everyone that feels to stand their ground with it. And I have seen there are some remedies that at least alleviate symptoms and these sort of things. But again, I don't have any
It's
numbers,
okay.
distinct numbers on who is
Oh, I
going
was just
forward.
yeah. What I was wondering about, and the reason I brought it up is I don't like to talk about it too much because it's an easy way to get censored. But yet people need to know the truth, so that's really always an issue. Um, but
Oh, well,
I was the
what I
solar
like to
flash.
say, the truth is out there. It is widespread. When you look at one's, every family more or less knows someone that has had adverse effects. So, having said
Yeah,
that, that is the proof, and it's widespread around the planet. So, there is no concealing that, and it's ready to um, be fully revealed as well. So, what I wish to say is that the information is out there, and eventually it does reach the all. For example, I'll speak about my physical daughter, um, which lives in Nova Scotia, Canada. Yet, her experience has that when I spoke with her perhaps about a month ago, now everyone is talking about the adverse effects. However, let's say about 6 months ago, there was very little to nothing, but because of that time frame of 4 months in between, things began to transpire, and it began to be more widespread that the people could see it themselves and know more of the truth because they've had it through the individual experience.
and
But
word of
what you
mouth.
have is divine ones, let's say, that have died. They are, let's say, one of the divine sacrifices to be the proof to show so many. So, what is going on? And you've had that as well. You could say it was a higher divine supreme sacrifice to be the proof of what was going on. And of course, where it's widespread around the majority of the planet, the truth, it can no longer be hidden nor contained. So it's inevitable, the breakdown of that. And as I said, with ones, it's important to keep the focus on the new world and know what is coming and have that complete trust, but also to be aligned with that, because also by doing that, it generates in your reality a space that is in alignment with the new, that you will not see so much of the old density, what is playing out there.
Now, this particular global people's monetary system has nothing to do with Nasara Gasara. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It had some of the things that was in Jasara and Nasara. It does the same thing, like wiping out death and what have you. But it is the ultimate, and it is by the people that it gets done. And what I need to say with Jasara and Nasara, and over the course of time, and right at this moment, most know that the Nasera Jacera was a fictitious narrative, that it never come to fruition, and it was never meant. It was more so a instrumental step also to be prepared for the ultimate GPMS. So with the Nasera Jacera, for example, it looks at placing the value once again on an outside resource like gold or what have you. But the problem with that, and the reason why it never comes to fruition, is because whoever owns the gold, which are the rich ones, which is the problem already, dictates the price of that in the currency. So the divine plan is no, you need nothing outside of self. The self is where the intrinsic value is. Money would not even exist if it was not for the individual. So this shows you that you are the value, you are the worth. And this is what it's activating with the divine plan and monetary system as we go forward. So you don't need gold that is controlled by someone else. You don't need oil that is controlled by someone else, because then you loop back into the same old control system. And this GPMS dot world is the system that takes everyone out of it, and you break through that old control because it's the people worldwide united. And again, very quickly, if you look at uh, some statistics, 85% of the population of the planet is in poverty or some form of lack. And if you look at perhaps 25% of the planet in extreme poverty, you can see very quickly where the numbers are going to come from to support a new reality. So, and it has to be done this way. There is no resource backed currency that is controlled by someone else to dictate the worth of the individual. What GPMS is, it activates the worth and the value of the individual. Then it's created outward as a whole. And there is no debt with this, because debt is also an illusion to keep the old system and taxes. There's none of that. Anyone go to the website, I suggest to look at the comparison page, old versus new, if you will. And, I believe we have 56 articles in there that once you read those, the choice becomes very obvious for the new world, what it does.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, I am so glad that I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I decided that your name came to mind, and I went, I haven't talked to Wick for a long time. I didn't know this was GPMS thing was going on, and I'm so happy that I found out about it and can help put it out there. And I will do whatever I can in that regard, because that sounds like the answer. Everybody wonders what they can do. Well, what can I do? I can't. What's my purpose? Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do, kind of thing. And I can't think of a simpler way of contributing. It doesn't cost anything. You just go there and read through it, check it out, read about the divine plan, which you've got listed in there as well, and sign it as someone, your intention is with this, and we're creating the new world that way, and that's wonderful. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
wonderful.
we've kept it simple. You really don't even need to sign it. What you can put as your energetic identity that you were actually there. You don't need to put a written signature. You can put a heart, a star, or anything, because that is your energetic imprint. So I wish to make
Oh, wow.
that clear.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
Oh,
know that. Yeah.
yeah. When you go there, it's your email address and just your information, the simple information. And we need this to validate individuals, right? To show that the vote to is very real. And the worldwide referendum, it's a cumulative vote. We just keep collecting, and once we have the majority, it's done. The new world. So it's consistent, and also, this this is tangible. You're seeing hope actualized with this. So it's a real direction. It's not a false narrative. It's not a scam. It's not a misdirection. You can see this actually build. And if you compare like a Nasara Jasara timeline where ones keep thinking, that 200 and some different governments are going to bring that into fruition. But when you look at these same governments, what have they done the last 2 years without saying it? That's the big red
They were,
flag
yeah,
for
they
anyone.
were all, they were all willing to get rid of a vast majority of their population.
Yeah,
What?
so drop that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's from the darkness, if you will. It's a trickery, but it was instrumental, in getting ones to this level to be ready for GPMS. So everything serves the purpose for the light, even though it might have been a false construct or narrative. It does get ones prepared, if you will, and it has done that. So, Sarah Nasara concept, it has done what it was supposed to do, and now it no longer serves anything. This is the same as with, some mentions about kings and queens with prosperity funds uh, and huge riches. None of that applies as well, because what GPMS is a total equal value new world. It is the new deliverance where no one is better than anyone else. And as we know, equality is so important, especially prevalent throughout society and especially with relationships. And the old patriarchal imprint, if you will, as many knows, that's been erased. Now is the time. The perfect relationships are being based on love, and with the old factors taken out of it. So there's many beautiful, magical things that are occurring as well, and everything has been set up and prepared for this time.
Wow. Now, and this is Prime Creator's real plan, the divine plan.
This is fathers. You'll have others out there saying, you know, what I need to say. I speak the full truth, but let's say, Gail, look at you. You don't really know inside if I speak to Father or not.
Right,
However,
right, right.
I must say that yes, I do. So to the Father Creator, but there's also Mother Creator. But the point that I wish to make in this, the darkness also were notorious liars and trickery. So you have some what they put out, they say, oh, we're speaking to creator, to run and steer their false narratives. However, it does not prevent I from saying who and what I am, and anyone truly in their heart can see the full uh, authenticity and sincerity of what I am. I mean, look what I wear. And this is important. I came, if you will, from the bottom. So to assist everyone, to take everyone forward. So you don't see no white collar or any of that here. You see the genuine smoking, organic, mostly organic cigarette Rick. And so,
That's
yeah.
a tough habit to break. I'll tell you what. No, organic is good though because I think it's the non-organic ones that make people sick because of
Well,
what they put on the
yeah,
papers and tobacco. But anyway, that's a whole nother concept. But someone put in here. Some groups talk about getting a very, very near-death experience before things change, and these people ask an AI about this for probabilities for certain activities. But source is ultimately in control. I guess you were wondering if you would agree with that statement. Um,
uh,
what they're talking about is
what I do is I
society
always
having a near-death experience. That's what that's what she's talking about, not the actual individual, but the entire society. There's been people that have been putting that out in videos and saying that kind of thing. We need to bring humanity to a near-death experience to wake them up, basically, is what it boils down
Okay,
to.
well, along those lines, that is correct. If you want to look at one of the most prominent examples of that was 2012, between August and November, when the planet was transitioned to the next reality. That actually what occurred, everyone did die from the 3D and were transported into the fourth dimension. So on the wide scale, yes, but as we keep going, advancing with shifts, we are going into higher dimensional timelines. And with that, every step of the way, the old you dies because there's a new you every day, if you wish to put it that way.
Now, when you're talking about the new you, you're talking about consciousness, correct?
Consciousness and the heart, everything all embodied, the entire soul, and
The
with
heart
the
and mind, soul,
yes, yeah.
all of it together. Okay. Do you have any sense when generally something may occur this year, next year? I mean, everybody wants to know, well, when's this supposed to be happening? And some people have been following. There's this one guy I interviewed. 10 years ago, he said there were going to be mass arrests and all this kind of stuff. And it is actually happening now. But
Mm, yeah.
it was like,
And I with the mass arrests for a while from Father, I put it out as well. And with Trump, what was supposed to occur was the unsealing of all of these indictments, and it didn't occur as well. So, having said this, it's important for ones not to, let's say, judge that things are wrong or what have you, but to be fully open and flexible to go forward. So it's important not to get caught up and have conclusions on the past, but keep transitioning and evolving forward. Because what occurs, truth changes as we go forward. And again, a blatant
thank you for
example
saying.
a blatant example of truth changing is when you awakened. You were in a world you thought that was truth,
True.
but
Yeah.
when you awake overnight, no, that is the lie. So you need to be open for all of this, is what I suggest, and keep
That is
going.
so true. I'm so happy to hear you say that because I put that in my disclaimer. Said in a way much like what you just said. Truth changes as more information becomes available.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so what you think is true here, later down the road with new information, you might go, oh, that wasn't what I thought it was, but this is true now. So that's definitely. Well, do you
Yeah.
anticipate that people are going to, something is going to happen? I mean, I know there's no time, but people have a really hard time wrapping their head around that. Um, but people are wondering, is this going to happen in our lifetime? Is this going to happen? You
Oh,
know,
definitely. I'll go back to what I said about GPMS, how quick that can come to inception. It could come to inception in less than a month with the numbers that I gave. Just as soon as everyone chooses it, it's happening. We have 25,700 that are part of it now. And at any moment, this can go viral with everyone choosing it. So this is the new reality, what GPMS is. It's all inclusive. And no, this is what we're here to do. Everyone
call,
awakened. You're awakened for this reason. This is your direction. Get aligned with it to create it. So it don't what is for any don't think is it going to happen in your lifetime, because it's happening right now, and
no.
in a matter of days we can be there with it, and it's very real.
That's
So
why I really want to push this forward, Rick. I want more, calling all light workers, calling all angels on
well,
Earth.
exactly,
Come on, let's put this out there.
but having said this, Gail, we've been doing this now for just a little bit over a year. And with my anticipation, when we first put it out, when Father said it's ready, it has to be put out, I had anticipated in a couple months it would be done. But it has taken a year, so far. But there are variables, and there's also let's say some events, as the viewer just asked, that has to play out that gets ones aligned with it as well. So it's a little bit more involved with it. And having said this, I'm so happy to hear what you said because, yes, it's common sense. Once we have all of the public figures such as yourself giving this message to the audience, we get it done quicker altogether. So it can happen very, very quickly. I cannot just put a linear time on it, but what I like to say, it is imminent, it is instant, it is irrevocable, it is irresistible. So, and it's common sense, it's logic as well when anyone looks at it. So, uh, I wish at this point just to say, when you collect the majority of the people worldwide, they are technically and lawfully the shareholders of everything upon the planet. And I need to state this because once we have the majority voice, the existing financial routing systems in the internet belongs to the people. And we are going to do what the humane thing is. And nothing can stand against the majority of the people. We don't need any fancy quantum system or 100 buildings full of gold. All we need is ourselves, and everything is already here on the planet to do it. So there
That even
doesn't need to be any infrastructure built.
that even includes med beds, doesn't it?
Everything. Yeah, the
Because
people.
technically, if we get our DNA put back together, we can heal ourselves.
Well, your
Isn't that correct?
DNA, it- for anyone awakened, your DNA is being put back together from the emissions from the sun. These are your ascension symptoms with constant upgrades to acclimatize to the new frequencies, the new vibrations, the new worlds we are creating. So it's happening organically within each of you, or you would not even be here now because you would not be able to vibrate in this present reality with your frequency to be here. So everyone is, your DNA is not damaged. And again, that's a myth. When they get you to think that, then you'll slow down your process. It's not damaged. It's being, let's say,
Reconnect.
reconfigured divinely. Yeah, you're not damaged. No one is damaged with your DNA. That's a myth, again, to disempower ones and to keep you separated from your power and your truth. And don't believe any of these.
Yeah, so there's a difference between something being damaged and something being simply disconnected, and it was simply disconnected. So all it has to do is reconnect. Does that make sense, or is that do I have a misconception
We
there?
could say that it was disconnected, but everyone's being
Reconnected.
reconnected in this time to your spark and your connection to Source, Prime Creator. So you could say that. I like to say everyone is advancing these physical vessels into the unprecedented new higher frequency realities, is what's actually occurring. This is unprecedented. In the past, there were very few that took their actual physical vessels forward. This time it's on a planetary scale, and we're going into the fifth dimensional reality. But the fifth dimensional reality is already here, it's accessible, to many. For example, with just using myself as an example, if I was not here to assist humanity, I'd be in another reality, not here. But this is my divine mission to be upon the planet and to be a guardian and an assurance that this gets done. But having said this, everyone's being prepared for the new reality. And if it appears, they may go through a death process, uh, die. It's not death is not real. It's just an ascension to a higher timeline, if you will. So this is why some say, once you go forward, you'll see your friends and family that died. Because the truth is, at the soul level, we exist for all time. We've had many existences, and the great mystery upon the planet was with many what happened, after death. But they perceived death as being the end, but really it's not. It's a
It,
transitioning into the higher
I,
experience.
yeah, I think that's one of the things that the churches did to keep people controlled and under their um, perception of things as to the way they are, and that perception was to keep us small
But
sinners. And
divinely, it was perfect and allowed to contain, the human experience. And so everything is divine, what occurs here. And having said that, if everyone that come to have a human experience, if you had your full memory and knew everything, you would not want to be here. You'd say, what's the point when I can be doing, these other things? Why do I got to uh, come here, if you will, um, with this? It's like with I've been bored and said, come on, Father, can I go? No, not yet. At the soul level, we've signed in to do this mission. And
mhm.
so that's what it's about. But if everyone knew the truth and the full knowledge, it would be uh, there would be no sense, or no one would really want to have the human experience for what we are. For example, no one would want to come and walk through the streets of India or Africa and see children starving and dying. That's not what we are. That is the opposite of what we are. So we would not even want the experience, to put it that way.
Right. Well, I think our self identity is very important, and we've been made to feel small. But when we expand our self identity by knowing that we're all that is, and has been, and ever can be, rather than some little small nothing, then that expands and raises our frequency. So part of it is because we don't think much of ourselves as a result of the programming over years and years and years. That's just my opinion.
It
Um,
was exactly, and everyone's breaking out of that now, and it no longer serves, and they cannot take it anymore, and their hearts are awakening, being activated. They can feel it, and it is again, such the most amazing, auspicious, glorious time to actually be upon the planet.
alive.
It's just from
Yes, yes.
their viewpoint where they're at. They just don't see it yet. However, many are beginning to see it and know that it's being created. And, very shortly, when it is created for all here, in retrospect, they'll look back at it and they'll say, okay, now I see why I had to experience, all of that
Yeah,
great
that's funny
stuff.
because that's so true. What happens is
Yeah.
sometimes you think it's always darkest before the dawn, or sometimes these little sayings are really true. But a lot of times we think something was just absolutely horrible that happened. And then down the road, we're going, oh my God, I'm glad that happened because now I got this or this or whatever. One door closes, another door opens. And
Exactly.
keeping that perspective can be challenging at times, but it really makes a difference when you adopt it as a way of thinking. Because, and I'm talking from my own experience, but when you change that, it helps a lot. It really does. Someone was asking,
Absolutely.
thank you. What do you think about ETs? Do you have anything
Well,
about that?
uh, let's say they're very real and multi-dimensional beings, if you wish, if I may. Yes, all of this is very real. And if you're to take, let's say, a poll around the planet, you're going to see about 77% believes and perhaps even
Extra.
had experiences and know that it's real. And yes, ETs, galactics are very real. What's here now upon the planet since 2012, assisting both on the surface and above, are the benevolent races that are just waiting for humanity to catch up. When I was first awakened out of my disguise and spoke with Father, one of the first things he said, Rick, okay, humanity is 123 linear years behind where it needs to be in conjunction with the multiverse and all of the other beings. And what I wish to say right at this time, we're about 2 days from catching up, but don't look at days as a linear day, but that's how close we are now. And that occurs uh, when the planet is caught up with the multiverses or the multiverses. When they're caught up very quickly, that is also with the 5D reality that GPMS is creating now. And then you have, of course, what you could call the first documented first contact as well.
Okay. There's
And
another
many,
question.
yeah.
Always, do you believe that there is a time or temporal war? Temporal war? Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. I'm just reading it here. Um,
Oh, well, they're talking about timeline splits and they're talking about
yeah,
um,
yeah.
spiritual
I believe
wars and
that.
stuff like that.
hmm I believe I know what they're referring to. Uh, and my answer, my reply to this is to know now that you are a co creator, you are manifesting, and you are able to choose what you wish to have in your consciousness, including no more war, and it doesn't matter, if you will. Let's say some things occurred in the past. This is the reason why we're upon the planet with this mission. However, we are here to stop that past, which we have already done, and transition humanity in a place where there is no war and no fooling with the timelines. What we need to look at, these things occurred in the fourth dimensional space, is where your temporal wars and your timeline travel had occurred interdimensionally within the fourth dimension. We're going to the fifth dimension where none of that exists. So it doesn't matter that it did occur now. What matters now is what you do in the moment and keep the focus towards the new world where it doesn't exist, and it doesn't matter if it did exist in this world. It's no longer what you are going to be residing into.
Okay. Well, um, I think we're going to wrap this up pretty soon, but I wanted to give you a chance to, what can you tell people right now? And this will include the GPMS too. But what can you tell people right now that they can do that will help them personally and help the planet at the same time? I mean, that's a loaded question, but see, do what you can with it.
Well, be the main thing you can do on the individual level is to purify your actions and reactions in yourself and act out of the most virtuous, moral, and ethical ways. And what this does, then it begins to open up more knowledge for you, for your new gifts, and it also begins to empower you, and it changes your reality. So, with that on the individual level, it is so important. And one of the reasons why purity is so important is because it's the absence of the density. And if you look at the old fear ways, that is a density. It actually has weight to keep you in the old reality. And where we're going, there is no density. So you need to change the way you act and react, and you need to practice the utmost virtuous way in being here. And this is what I mean about the purification. But there's also what is very important is a mastery. And the mastery can be as simple as fully trusting in Prime Creator and the reason that you are awakened at this time. Trust and have no fear whatsoever. Surrender fully to the power of yourself and that connection to Source. And then with that, there is nothing to fear. And then what you do is you shift yourself upward and also keep in um, unity with others and keep with your like-minded friends that you may have, whether it's online or if it is physically. That is so important because you keep each other elevated in higher vibration as you quickly learn the tools as well to purify yourself, to expedite your process and to join all of those others that are already doing it. So it's an all together thing with TPMS. And when all unite with that same focus in that same thought in that same purity, then it gets it created much quicker. So it is important to do your inner work. And when I say the inner work, is the mastery of all the fear spectrum, which can be impatience, worry, aggression. You are responsible, each one, for your physical vessel, and there's a reason for that. If there was not a reason for it, you would not see over the last decade most, perhaps or a big percentage, at least worldwide, becoming vegetarian. You would not see them being very meticulous with what they ate and not including chemicals in your diet. And there's a very important reason for that. Or if you keep putting these chemicals and what have you in your body, it hinders and slows down the body uh, to transition more into the crystalline because then your energy is taken towards trying to fight down and excrete the chemicals out of your body, where the same energy could be applied to your empowerment and your advancement of your physical vessel in your multi-dimensional abilities in the least.
I,
So, so
okay,
my
yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the message is yes, check out at least gpms.world if it resonates. If you're a mom or a dad, do the right and good thing for your children as well. Get everyone registered in the family and anyone that has spare time that is on the social media networks. Get the word out. The more we get it spread in every area around the planet. Of course, now through the alternative news, we are close to perhaps getting on some of the mainstream, but that, uh, let's say, it just didn't present yet. But it's important to get it fanned out worldwide, gpms.world, on the alternative media. So everyone can do their part, what feels right, and assist others. And with what we are with GPMS, there is no bosses in it. Once you become a
I
part
like
of
that.
GPMS, you're an equal one. You share it. It's with everyone in your own way. So I am a guardian of it and a director that we give suggestions if one's needed. But again, you know in your heart uh, everything that you need to do to know in your role into sharing it. So you already have it. And but we collaborate if you wish and get the word out. It's so important. And the people are the absolute authority. All of the souls upon the planet, and again, nothing can stop this because it
This is
can. It's that simple.
this is a beautiful thing because it's removed from all governments and the kinds of things that have caused us problems in the past. We think they um, change the face of something, maybe even call it something else, but essentially it's the same thing again when it comes through the government or what have you,
Yeah,
and it just doesn't cut it. And so this is one of the first things I've ever really seen that really seems very people oriented, and I really like that a lot. So.
thank
Um, I'm going to help in any way that I can to keep getting this word out. I'm sure it was Spirit that told me to make an arrangement with you to get this out there, and I will put this on my YouTube channel when I can after my um, censorship thing is over. I have to be real careful for the next couple months because all it takes is one more strike and they'll take the whole channel and everything down. Um, but in I think it's like another week, I'll be able to at least post something up there, um, which they'll always put at the end of the feed. But anyway,
Well,
we just got
what
to deal with these
I,
entities.
I wish to say one more thing, Gail, with this.
Good.
What I suggest is not to give your power away thinking they're going to censor. You're doing a divine role here. So, what I suggest is just, have your prudence as you have in what your discussions are, but trust in what you are providing divinely, for humanity. This is backed by a higher divine energy, and miracles can happen. So, what I suggest is keep the trust and keep going forward with it, and don't give your power away thinking they're going to do this and going
They're
to
going to
do
do
that. On
that.
Facebook,
Thank you.
they attempted with and I said no, and I had wrote things, to Facebook and saying it's not acceptable, and they could not do it. But the reason why that occurred is also as a co-creator. When I stand up and write something, it reverberates out into the timelines as a creation, if you will. And we are all a collective. So when one of us stands up, unbeknownst to you, many others are as well. Because by you doing that, we are a collective. We affect everyone. It's the ripple effect. And as you can see, when everyone stands up, it's all over, if
Oh,
you
it's
will.
all over. It is, and it's going to happen. It's coming. It's coming. I feel it. It's
We
coming.
persevere. So you keep going through. There are remnants of darkness, that try to throw wrenches in there, but we are the omnipotent ones, and you look at these as little tests because if they throw a wrench in, well, then you find another way because there always is a solution and another way to get around that, and you learn things from it. Then what you learn from that you share with everyone else, and we're forever going forward with all of the knowledge. And as you're seeing, you know uh, in on all the alternative media with the censorship, they tried, but it had no effect. Sure, they might have slowed it down, but what you see as a result, whoo, the alternative media has actually flourished and the word got out because it's the divine word and it cannot be stopped. So
It's a
everyone
beautiful
will
thing.
yeah, yeah.
It's what a wonderful time to be alive.
Indeed.
Those little negative things, just never
Yeah,
mind
keep
that.
doing, you learn from it. And everyone just keep doing what you need to do in the now, to survive. and keep the focus on this new reality that is not a hope, it's being created, and keep aligned with that and know that there is a direction. So
And you're a co-creator with it if you just get involved. All you got
yeah,
to do
yeah,
is go there.
exactly. Everyone is a co-creator with this, and we're all coming together in this beautiful time to create the new world. It's why every one of you has been awakened and prepared to play whatever role you play in the new world.
Thank you so much, Rick. This has been a wonderful conversation. I'm going to check back with you in maybe a month or two and see where things are at, or if anything breaking really happens that needs to get out there. Please contact me. I will do a show at that time. And
Yeah.
because I think this is absolutely incredible, I am um, thrilled with the fact that you have been involved in who all involved in creating this. I guess it really came from um, the man upstairs or woman or both. But anyway, either way, it's a beautiful thing, and it's moving humanity forward. And believe me, we've suffered long enough.
Yeah, yeah. So it comes from Father to put here, but then what occurred when we put it out? All of the divine comrades, if you will, that needed to come in, and we all began to get it out, and they everyone assisted with it. So it just had to be the direction put down, and then it was divinely orchestrated to get it going forward, and many others contributed to this. As I said, I'm only one guardian, and we have, let's say, 25,700 uh, in GPMS, and really they are all guardians to whatever extent they choose to be as well. And we have many children in there. I believe there could be possibly maybe 6 or 7 thousand are children under the age of 18 that are part of this voice, and it's getting bigger every day.
Now, with somebody's permission, is it can someone register or put down somebody else that wants to be on it, but they can't access the computer or what have you?
Yes, if they have their permission, yes, yes.
Okay.
But it's important not for, let's say, a parent or let's say a grandparent um, consenting for their grandchildren, teenagers, if their teenagers don't know about it. So to keep it pure and divine, at least, you have to have another's permission. But with the children, that is the parent's discretion. If the children, let's say, are 4 years old, well, the parent is actually the guardian and able to lawfully choose what is best for the child. And they can ask a 4-year-old child, for as we know, the children are very intelligent, but yeah, the consent uh, needs to be asked of one
Okay. Okay.
before you do this. Yeah.
Alrighty then. Well, I think this has been wonderful. I'm so happy that I found out about this. I didn't know, and but I certainly am an advocate, and I certainly am all about Prime Creator and doing the will and bringing it forward to improve the world for humanity and
Thank you.
Creator and
Yeah.
all together.
Yeah, we all are, and we're getting it done, Gail. And we're so close, we're this close to the finish line, right? And any that takes
It's
the time
exciting.
to look at GPMS, and if they're awake enough to see it, they'll say, "Yes, this is it. There is no
This is
doubt." Yeah, and it
all
is.
righty
It
then.
absolutely.
Thank you so much, and keep up your wonderful work. And keep checking in with Prime Creator. I've been doing it. I feel a connection that I didn't used to have. That I feel it's like it opened up significantly. Something
Yeah,
was suppressing it. Something was keeping it very hard to get through.
divine
So
timing, divine timing. It kept everyone. See, this is a divine strategy, and there is a divine plan, so it kept everyone where they needed to be. Everyone's always in their correct place. And then when it's the divine time as yourself, then poof, you're empowered up to play the new roles in the new reality. So everyone is doing everything correct, and everyone is in the right place with that. And you're the second one today that has said this very thing to I, that they are more empowered, more in touch with their own empowerment and creator. And this is beautiful and
It
significant
is.
to see
It
right now.
is. It is. I remember, a decade ago when I started really seeking. I mean, I was raised religiously very heavily, but there came a point in time when I broke from that, but I was seeking spirituality, and I didn't know what I was looking for, but I sure wasn't finding it in the church. But I finally found it, and I'm absolutely delighted about it. And finally, the connection is there that I couldn't seem to get through to in the past. It had something to do with um, frequency or some kind of block or something. I'm not sure what it was, but all I know is that I feel a much closer and better connection now than I ever have, and I love it.
Yes, it's so beautiful. Perfect.
It is. It is. It is. Okay. Well, you keep up the good work, and I'm going to close this off for now. And if you notice, the song that we picked for this show is called Stand Together. And that's exactly what
Yeah.
we're talking about right here. So I hope you hear the words to the song because it is so fitting. So,
Excellent.
anyway.
Please send it to me. And
We'll stand. We'll stand. We will stand. Standing tall.